And just like that, Phil, we're live, brother.
All right.
You doing well today, sir?
Yes, sir, I am. And you? No one ever asked the host how they're doing.
Nobody.
All right.
I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, before we get going in here, guys and gals, welcome back to American Warrior Show. My name is Rich Brown, the co-host, co-founder of the American Warrior Society and the American Warrior Show, America's leading self-defense podcast. And today I'll be joined by Phil Ross, and in just a moment I'll read his bio. But before I do, if you haven't already, please check out the AmericanWarriorSociety.com. We've got everything that you're going to need to keep you and your family safer in these unprecedented times we happen to find ourselves in. Take a 14-day free test drive with Mr. Mike Seeklander and I, and you're going to learn everything from white belt to blue belt Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. You're going to learn a little bit of unarmed combatives with Mr. Jason Kelly from American Top Team, as well as Christian Dare, one of John Jacques Machado's black belts. We've got rifle, handgun, shotgun, low light, less lethal, how to prepare a go bag. We've got it all, guys. Check out AmericanWarriorSociety.com. Phil, while we're waiting for one person to jump, Derek is already on. He says, good afternoon from North Carolina.
All right.
I'll go ahead and read Phil's bio. Phil Ross is an internationally recognized mixed martial arts instructor, trainer, and wrestling coach with over 50 years of experience in martial arts of various disciplines. American Lethwei, how do you pronounce it? Lethwei, catch wrestling, combat, and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Taekwondo, and the Philippine arts. The combination of these arts and his experience as a bouncer and bodyguard lend American Eagle MMA as an extremely effective defensive tactics methodology. His strength and conditioning training includes, but is not limited to, kettlebells, bodyweight, dynamic tension, powerlifting, bodybuilding, and Olympic-style weightlifting. Strength, explosive power, flexibility, mobility, muscular endurance, and much, much more. We have we're going to have a little bit of coffee today. If I can ever get my coffee in here, let's chat. But I've got links to everything where you can follow Phil, check out his products. We'll ask him more about that later in the show. So, Phil, how are you today, my brother?
Hey, great, brother. Great. And you're looking well, Rich. Good to see you up there.
I'm living the dream, brother.
I know you're going to look better as soon as you get that cup of coffee in you. So.
That's right. Hey, one of the things I forgot about your bio is, you were a bouncer as well. Yep. As was I and my co-host, Mike. I spent about 4 or 5 years doing that in various different clubs, man. And I kind of let's lead with that one.
Yeah.
What was your experience like there, Phil?
Wow. I actually was a bouncer for around 20 years.
Wow.
I worked in some really fun clubs. I'm not that big. I'm only like 5'10". I was maybe 200 at the time, but I usually go between, right now I'm about 192. But I started bouncing at the age of 18 when I was in college. I wanted to pick up extra money. So my buddy said, hey, why don't you come bounce? I'm like, all right, cool. And I just really took to it. But I worked when I went to University of Maryland. I was a Division I wrestler and on the karate team there. And we pretty much were the bouncers. And there's one bar we worked in. Rich, I'll tell you, we used to have 3 to 4 fights a night, easy. It was bad. I also, I was getting in so many fights. I just had athletic tape on my hand because they were cut open from punching people in the face. And I was wrestling at 158, so I was pretty ripped up then. So, off season, I was like, 170. And then during the season, I was 158. And, I took off. I didn't bounce as much during the season, but then, off season, I was bouncing a lot. And I would do, 3-4 nights a week. And then I came back and to Jersey, and I bounced in New Jersey. And also, I'm very close to New York City. So I used to work for this guy, John Steele, in Black Belt Security. And we did the Copa, the Doo-Wop, the Underground. If people know anything about this area, some of those places, get pretty hairy. I had some wild situations, especially down in Maryland, PG County. If anybody knows about Prince George's County, Maryland, it's pretty rough. And we had this one bar that we made from a biker bar into a college bar. So you can imagine how that was.
Yeah.
There were many times that, I remember one time we had a huge brawl there, and one of the cops threw me his billy club. It was that rough. I mean, it's things are a little bit different now. People just go and shoot each other. But we used to fight, and I can't tell you, I had so many people wait for me at the after throwing them out, and then after a few times, people didn't wait for me anymore.
Yeah, that's very similar. I mean, by the time I was a bouncer, you're probably a little bit older than me. My experience was like 92 to probably 96.
Yeah.
And I don't remember ever striking anybody with my fists. It was mostly, it's interesting because, I had done judo and jiu-jitsu and some other stuff, but really what I found worked was, and this is at the time, I do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu now, but most of it was some form of like catch wrestling, just to get people out of the club. I mean, we obviously didn't want to hurt them if we didn't have to. No. Yeah. I mean, it's just bad for the organization, bad for the club. But, and then when I was a police officer, I started doing security training and would go back into some of the clubs throughout East Tennessee and train their floor staff. This one guy I trained one night, and I write about this in my book. He was the head of the security, one of the security places I worked at called the Underground, oddly enough. Or it sounded like you worked at an Underground up there. Must be a popular name.
Yeah.
This guy, Mike Garner, he told him, stay safe. About a week later, he threw some gangbangers out. They told him they're going to come back and shoot him. And he got in his car and drove away from the club, and they ambushed and shot and killed him. And a couple other guys in his car were wounded. He's the only one that died. So yeah, man, it's like you said, it's gotten now where I don't think I would work that job, but also Phil, club culture like you and I had back in the day, man, kind of doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah. It's a whole different world, because I have kids. My own personal kids are in their. I have one that's 30, another one that's 28, and it's totally different. And plus, I'm also a college professor now, so I'm exposed to the young kids quite a bit. And I just got hit up this morning. They looks like I'm going to be a throws coach at the community college.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Brother. It'll be fun. Thanks. So
Jerry is on. Tony is on. Says, "Hey, folks."
Hey,
yeah. Oh, you were going to say something. I'm sorry, Phil.
Oh yeah. I mean, most of the time I would try to avoid the fights, though. And this, I want to, really put that forth. Is that and here's a great line I used to use, and it would really just take the temperature down and try to diffuse the situation. If a guy's getting rambunctious in the bar, I'd say, "Hey, you're a good guy, aren't you?" And even though he's the biggest jerk on the planet, he still thinks he's a good guy. Right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It brings the temperature down. I'm like, "Hey, look, things aren't working out tonight. I'll get you a cup of coffee or something. They will, come back tomorrow night and so forth." Mm-hmm. And most of the time, that would diffuse a situation. Yeah. But sometimes you just couldn't. You had to go. And especially in the area I was in that that Prince George's County, we have D.C., Virginia. Prince George's County, you got there's a lot of military there, a lot of different ethnic groups there, so there was always like a high rate of conflict. Then of course you had all the college kids there, and then you had the townies and everything else. So it got to be pretty hairy. So
yeah, that's the same, man. My first experience was at the hottest club right outside of Camp Lejeune. So you've got 50,000 Marines from all across the United States and like 6 girls. And they're all competing for the same women, which is, bound to cause problems. You got these young men with testosterone and they're away from home for the first time. But no, you're absolutely right, brother. I mean, I don't ever want to get in a fight. I mean, if absolutely the last resort. And one of the things I talk about in the book is, you a lot of people don't know this about bouncers, but when we close the club down, I've got to get everybody out of the club. And one of the clubs I worked at, we had to get everybody out of the parking lot. Yep. So that's when a lot of them.
Too, huh?
Yeah, bro.
Wow. Yeah, I never had to do that. Only as bouncing. I just had to get them out of the club.
So when we close the place down, got to get them out and then get them all out of the parking lot. So the parking lot's clear. Then we'd come back in and kind of clean up. But
yeah,
I say that because that's when a lot of problems happen.
Yes.
A lot of problems that may have been stewing on the dance floor or at the bar. Now it's outside and everybody gets froggy there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because I always call it the a-hole hour after 12 o'clock. I tell my kids, you know what? Get home before 12. Nothing good happens after 12 o'clock. You're bouncing to, sometimes the bars close at 2 or 3 a.m. And then, getting everyone out. That's when most of the fights are happening after 12.
Brother, I worked one field. I don't know if they had this up there where you're from in the Jersey area, but with weird liquor laws down here in the South, man, sometimes I worked at one place called the Boiler Room, and it was only open from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. So it would be packed 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. because we couldn't sell alcohol that late, but you could bring in whatever you want. So these people would line up outside the club with coolers full of booze, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, drinking that much is not good for you.
No, especially that early in the morning. It was nuts, man. So, Phil, I read your bio, man, and we talked about bouncing a little bit. Mm-hmm. How did you get into this martial arts lifestyle, wrestling lifestyle? I mean, to make it as a Division I athlete, how did that all come about?
Well, my grandfather was a boxing trainer in Patterson, and that's where I was born. And then we moved over the river into Fairlawn, and then we moved to another town, a couple towns away, Ridgewood. But when we were living with my grandfather, he taught me how to box. He gave me the basics to boxing, had me do sit-ups. I'm like 7, 8 years old. He's got me hanging off a chair doing backward sit-ups. It was crazy. And then he started showing me how to throw my hands. But he did not want me to compete in boxing because he said it was a very crooked game. And, so I just trained and then I worked out in my basement, because this is like 1970s, early 70s. And then I discovered wrestling. I was playing football and I used to foul out of basketball in like 20 seconds. So, and I played baseball. And then, I thought, wow, what's this stuff? It's really cool. And I took to it right away. And I just found out, I was pretty decent at it. I was very strong. I was small, but I was super strong for my weight. And then, I wrestled as a freshman, I wrestled at 108. But then by the time I was a senior, I was wrestling at 148. And then I went up to 170 and 58 and 70 in college and so forth. It was a lot of fun, and I just loved the wrestling community. And then what happened was I was wrestling, and it was during my sophomore year. I tore my ligaments in my ankle really bad in a tournament, and then I was wrestling 158, so I couldn't really do anything, Rich. So what I was doing, I was just pumping iron. So I had my leg in a cast, and then I started squatting and deadlifting. And I really was getting into the weight training. And I come back to the room, and I'm tossing everybody around near my weight class. And coach goes, "Ross, get on a scale." I'm like, all right, step on a scale. 202.
No wonder you're tearing everybody up in your weight class.
I was 6 weight classes above him. Yeah. So man, he was pissed. And I'll tell you, I was young for my grade. I mean, I was in college at 17. So I was growing. And I just go, "Coach, I'm never making that weight again." So kind of stopped my career there in wrestling, and I just got fully into the martial arts. And I just loved fighting. I would fight anywhere from light heavyweight to heavyweight because I was pretty strong, so I could handle the strength of the heavyweights, but I was so much quicker, And if they got a good shot on me, it would have hurt pretty bad. But I could evade them for the most part, and I just started winning a lot. And then I actually fought, if you include when I was wrestling Greco-Roman on a national level, in 1979 as a junior. I took second Eastern region in Greco-Roman wrestling in the Eastern Nationals in the U20. And then I couldn't wrestle in my seniors. I broke my thumb in the state qualifier. So that happens. But I competed. I won my last Brazilian Jiu Jitsu tournament in 2010 at 48 years old. I won the battle, the Battle of the Beach, the Big Naga.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a huge tournament. I had 49 guys in my weight class, and I won that. That was the last time I competed. And then I was actually getting ready for an MMA fight. I was training a bunch of guys, and we, John Jones, he used to work out once in a while, and Ciatoli was his coach when he was at Bomb Squad. So these guys used to always come down, and Ciatoli saw me. He knew I was a national kickboxing champ from the ABA, and then he saw me like compete, and I went 5 matches down. No one even scored a point on me. I had a good day. Okay, I had a good day. Let's just say I had a good day. And he goes, "Let's get you a fight." I'm like, and so I was going to be 49. I'm like, you know what? I can do this because I'm basically an idiot. So I started training really hard. Now I'm working with these guys. I mean, I had this one kid. He was actually ranked number 11 in the world. I was cornering him, Mike Macenzio. We had some guys in UFC and the Bellator and everything. And man, we're sparring. Rich, he hit me. Yeah, I heard a crack. My whole arm went numb. Okay, I didn't think anything of it, but then all of a sudden I couldn't move my hand. And long story short, I wound up having an osteophyte hit my spinal cord. I have an edema. I have a spinal cord injury, and I lost the thenar muscle in my right hand. So like my hand, even though I've made it stronger, but I had to get 4 levels done on my neck. Yeah, so my competition days were over then. So
yeah, man.
So
yeah, that's I'm telling you, it's hard. For those that are listening to Phil and I, and you're in your late 20s, your 30s, yeah. Trust me, man. Eventually, it's going to come. I'll be 55 here in a few months, and and I know the injury recovery time is not what it was. You and I could go to sleep in our 20s and wake up fine. Nowadays, you can't.
Now it's like, oh, forget about it. I mean, it's like it's tough. And the thing is that people used to see me because I'd roll with all these young guys, and some of these guys were D1 wrestlers and stuff, and it's funny because I noticed it when I was getting to my 40s. I could do fairly well most of the time. But, the guys who were really, really good, I was just that much behind them. And people say, oh, wow, you did really good. I'm like, hey, you know what? You think I am, but, I know I slowed a little bit. Yeah. I knew what to do. I just couldn't get there quick enough.
Yeah. The gas tank ain't what it used to be either, man.
No. But it's, I'll tell you, I still train all the time. I'm actually up for that Mr. Health and Fitness Award. I made it to top 15. I was top 20, and then the voting for top 15. It's all up on my Facebook site and all that. Hey, I got a new book out, right?
No, I was going to let's talk about that.
Yeah. So
all the links are everything that Phil's going to talk about are going to be in today's show notes.
Awesome. Yeah, it's the book is called The Guide to Street Survival and Self-Defense, and it's funny because you're talking about the bug out bag and so forth. I have everything in there. There's 24 chapters, everything from a dog attack to being in a crowd situation when there's mass hysteria. So I've been in a couple of those. Those have been really hairy. I honestly thought I was going to die a couple of times, as you can probably well imagine, having been in these security situations before. We had a big situation with the Bloods and the Crips in 2004, and there were cops from 15 towns there. It was a wild trip. But, I go over, all the different scenarios. And the cool thing I know you'll like about this, because what I do is I talk about the defensive tactic, but I relate it to a true story that really happened, either to me, mostly to me, but also to some of my students. Like I had one guy successfully defend himself with a rolled up magazine against 6 guys. I had one little 110-pound beautiful girl attacked by a 300-pound guy with a knife. She put him in a hospital. He was wanted for the rapes. There's these things like this, and I go over, what transpired in the scenario and the different techniques and strategies that were employed. And I also go over how to train, and there's like 50 workouts in this book, and I also have a training regimen, and it's, survival, street survival, self-defense, defensive tactics, and also strength and conditioning involved in this book. And it's called A Guide to Street Survival and Strength. It's only on my site right now, survivalstrong.philross.com, but it will be on Amazon soon because I'm just waiting to get the author's copy so I prove it. Yeah, you've been that route. You have to make sure everything's right. And the pretty cool thing is I got another book coming out on its heels called Exercise Snacks, Fitness 5 Minutes at a Time. It's something I developed during COVID, and I put together 55 workouts, and I'm just approving that now. Going through all the pictures, making sure they're in the right spot. And then I just signed a deal with, the Books for Dummies.
Yeah.
I just signed a deal with them. I wrote one chapter in the table of contents. I pulled one of my buddies in, this guy, Dr. Pat Roth. He's a neurosurgeon, and I trained him for years and years. And we're telling people how to holistically heal back pain because most of it can be done that way.
Well, that's great, man. Because my wife has had several cervical fusions, man. And I tell you, that back pain is real.
Well, especially all the judo and everything else you're doing. I mean, judo is brutal on you. Yeah. People don't realize judo, like wrestling, is really tough. I mean, those arts are hard to do later in life, but you can roll jiu-jitsu for a while. It's a little bit different in that aspect. Yeah.
Scott is joining us. Phil, it says, good afternoon. Jay is on says greetings from Ohio, coin number.
Right. Hey guys.
88. Yeah. So let's dive into some of this, Phil. Now you do combatives. You also do police defensive tactics. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. I've trained quite a few one-on-one in small groups, people getting ready for the State Police Academy. I've trained a bunch of those guys and put them through. And then, of course, I've trained at the police academy. I was a DCJ instructor for a number of years down at Fort Dix, where you were just doing your shooting training. So I was a hand-to-hand defensive tactics instructor there. And I've done, honestly, just like you've probably done tons of, too many to even name. I've done this seminar, that seminar. I've trained, the U.S. Marshals. I've trained the FBI. I was down, worked with SEAL Team 6, all kinds of stuff. So it's a fun thing to be involved in, especially when people like your material. Like I just filmed something. I'm calling Blades, Bats, and Batons. I don't know if you know. I was on. You ever hear that show Knife or Death on the History Channel?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was on that. Yeah.
Okay, how did that go?
Okay. Actually, I've never done anything like that before. And I actually wound up losing by 8 seconds to the guy who won the whole thing. And the guy in the heat, one guy was a 7-time world champ in this. And I barely lost. Yeah. And the thing is, honestly, I had 2 30-second penalties, which I would have won. I would have won that round. But one of them was that I did not know that I shouldn't have had an acorn edge. I should have had more of a vector edge, because it wasn't sharp enough to go through the plastic. Yeah, like there was plastic bottles that were hard to cut through, like the big jugs. I couldn't cut through them. And then what I did, I tried to make up time on this board chopping thing, and I whacked it too hard, and the thing flew up and missed. But I did pretty good. And it was supposed to do a redemption one, but then Goldberg, he's actually a really cool guy, Bill Goldberg. If you ever worked with him, I've worked with him a few times. We shot commercials together. Coolest guy I ever want to meet. It's like super humble, super cool. Because we have some friends in common too from MMA world. And he goes, hey, so-and-so said to say hello. I'm like, all right, cool. So we got him on the phone and everything.
Guy's a beast, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, the guy's in some shape, man. He works out hard. Really cool guy, really humble. But they were busting his chops too much, and so he bailed out. Yeah. They're making him get up too early in the morning, and like he is, I kind of felt bad, And then you have to be on point.
Oh yeah. How do you get into the kettlebell world? And do you know Jeff Martone?
Don't know him, but we know of each other.
Okay.
What happened with kettlebells? I was actually out, Frank Shamrock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was out training with him, and he goes, you're really into strength training. I'm an instructor in the system. And, we've known each other for around 20 years or so. And he says, he goes, yeah, you're into strength training. Look at these things. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then Pat Roth, the guy I'm writing the book with, told me there's this thing's called kettlebells. I go, yeah. I heard of them. So I looked into them, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. So I bought a set. I said, I got to learn this stuff. So I actually bought a video set on how to do it because there weren't too many places to train in the early 2000s. And then I found the best organization was the RKC with Pavel Tatsaline. So I went there. I got my first level certification. I did pretty well on it. They invited me to be an assistant instructor, and then I took a level 2 right away, banged that out, and then I became a team leader, and then I eventually became a master instructor. And I just found it to be extremely good for combat arts. And to me, I always rotated my dumbbells when I use them because I was always of the mindset that if it didn't help me become a better fighter, there's no reason for me to do it. So the kettlebells fit right into that. I mean, the explosive power, the grips in the hips, the mobility, the operating in that transverse plane, the fact that you have the COG, or the center of gravity is constantly changing and you have to access all these stabilizers. It goes right to fighting. And the other thing is it's a best bang for the buck time-wise, and you also get stronger on a neural level, just not by hypertrophy. Because, when you're pushing regular weights, you get stronger because the muscles get bigger. This one, you're also getting stronger on a neurological level. So it's perfect for weight class athletes. There's so many benefits, and I really learned how to pack the shoulder, engage the lat, and you address all aspects. There's obviously the cardiovascular condition you can get with kettlebells, man. You're banging out these swings and squats, man. You're going to be breathing hard. You're racking up those snatches. Like yesterday, I was doing a combination snatch, double squat, snatch, double squat. That's a killer. I call it the executioner. It was a killer, man. Your heart rate is going. And then obviously you get your strength. You can go heavy with the bells too. You get your muscular endurance. You get the mobility, durability, improved range of motion. And again, as fighters, hips and grips are essential, especially if you're a grappler. So I just don't see anything better out there. I've worked with the Bulgarian bags. I've done other types of training. I won Olympic lifting and powerlifting. I was an elite level power lifter. No steroids either. But
now, since you brought that up, are you now at a certain age? Do you do TRT?
Nope.
No.
I don't do it. You know what I do? I swing kettlebells and I eat good. My testosterone typically goes between 650 and 745.
Dang, that's incredible.
Wow. I'll tell you, I hit my explosive power training. I don't do distance training. I'll tell you this. So when I was running like 6 and 8 miles, my testosterone dropped into like the under 500.
Really?
I stopped doing it. I didn't stop doing it because of that. I stopped doing it because my knees and hips hurt too much.
Right. Yeah, I've had 3 knee surgeries, brother. I get it.
Yeah. So, I skip rope. I skip rope before each workout. I bang out 500 skips.
Oh, wow.
And then I do my mobility training. Then I do some calisthenics, and then I get into my kettlebells. And I'll tell you, man, hey, listen, my wife's younger than me. She's got no complaints. Actually, she does, because I'm still me.
Right.
But yeah, I don't do any TRT. I'll tell you, I take creatine. We'll take some L-glutamine. I do the collagen peptides, and the red food. The beet based, and then I take a pea protein. And actually, I wound up loving this stuff so much. I actually just came out with my own line that's on my website right now.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the pea protein?
The pea protein, it's this incredible isolate, and it's like so clean. It's got nothing in it. Everything's made here in the U.S. Nothing from China, nothing from any of those other countries. And I was working with the guys. They only do white label. Like, you can't get this in GNC. I'm sure somebody probably has a product like it, but everything I have is 100% pure, 100% natural, and 100% made here. So it's And it's the stuff I use. Like I wasn't going to sell anything that I don't use. And I wanted to see how it worked first. And I'll tell you what, when people like whey protein, I can't have that, man. It destroys my stomach.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So I can't take too much of that. It just tears me up.
Yeah. This pea protein, it's great. And it doesn't do anything negative to me, so, and I get, it's like 18 grams. Yeah. So.
Dr. Fuller is on from South Carolina. I hope you're doing well, sir.
Hey,
I want to talk to you.
Question for me? Does anyone want to ask me a question? Or?
Well, yeah, if you do, throw it up there, and we'll throw it out to Phil.
Yeah.
Let's talk also about. I will tell you, man, kettlebells. I see the efficacy of it because I think it's in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
I was still on active duty in the Marines, and I'd always hovered around my max weight at 5'9", was 186 pounds.
Yeah.
So my buddy gets a kettlebell and he's a beast, and we start throwing the kettlebell around. I step on the scale before too long and I'm 205. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, because I just packed on the muscle, and
that's awesome.
Like, I can't do this. I mean, I can't do it anymore because the Marine Corps is like, they don't care how strong you are. You can only weigh so much.
Oh, wow.
But I probably need to visit them again because I haven't messed with kettlebells since then. That was almost 20 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But you hit all the things that are incredibly important for a combat sports athlete. There really isn't much better. I mean, like I said, hips and grips, man, there is nothing like kettlebell. So I'd encourage you, and I'm going to take Phil's challenge. I'm going to get me a kettlebell and get back after it because
heck yeah.
I don't have to make weight anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Well, are you familiar with Marty Gallagher?
No.
Yeah. You got to check him out. He wrote for Muscle and Fitness for 35 years. He's like the father of American powerlifting. Marty is probably, I think he's like 74, and he still deadlifts over 400.
Damn.
I know, right? So he actually, he was at, Mark Coleman, the Hammer.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a strength trainer.
Okay.
Yeah, and he trained all these guys that have set the world records, and he was a world champion himself in powerlifting. I mean, he competed in Bulgaria and stuff, so he's a real deal. We wrote a book together. He wrote it with me. It was I'm his main author, but it's called Ferocious Fitness. And I had one of my guys that I corner, this guy Kyle Farrison, who's a multiple-time IBJJF black belt champion. And we're both in the book, and it goes through I go through a fight camp, how to get somebody ready, with using our methodology, and even you can extend that out to like a whole a wrestling season or something too. So it's a fun book, and I talk about there's some cool stories in it too.
Let's talk about diet, Bill.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about diet, man. So, and I want to talk about sleep also. Talk to me about what your diet like.
Okay. Well, I call it, I'll engage in a little bit of the intermittent starving, as I call it, as opposed to intermittent fasting. But again, being a wrestler, it's kind of easy for me not to eat and work out because I was so used to it for so long. And, if you ever had to make weight, you just get used to it. But I'll try to have a protein shake at some point in the day, like a smoothie. I use fresh fruits. Sometimes I have a fresh, like this morning, I got a fresh vegetable smoothie, and then I had my protein and my creatine and everything mixed in. And I eat, I'd say, kind of a modified Mediterranean diet where I really try to stay away from the processed foods as much as possible. I'll eat mostly chicken, then fish, then beef. And I'll eat pork too. But my number one would be chicken. Number two would be fish. And then if I have beef twice a week, that's a lot. Usually I'll just have it once.
Let's talk about the fish. Do you, is it baked, or how do you grilled, or what? And what kind of fish do you eat?
Yeah. I'll eat sushi. I love sushi. And then I'll also eat salmon. I love salmon. And generally, what I'll do with the salmon is, I'll just grill it or bake it, with nothing, just seasoning on it. I try to keep it, again, as raw as possible. But look, I'm not going to say, that I won't have an occasional cheeseburger or pizza, but 90 some odd percent of the time, I'm eating super, super healthy. I eat a lot of asparagus. I eat a big salad every day. I
Okay.
eat fruit every day. I eat a lot of green apples. I found them to be very good. Yeah. And don't eat too many bananas, but I eat a lot of berries, a lot of apples, pears. I eat celery. Red peppers are awesome. Red, yeah, they have more vitamin C than oranges do. So red, yellow, and orange peppers, I eat those all the time because I like the crunch. Like my thing, my downfall. Like some people have a sweet tooth. I don't. I can just sit there and eat desserts in front of me. I could care less. But my thing is, I like the crunchy, salty stuff. Probably because I sweat so much. So that's like my crave. But if I eat that, I'll blow up like a balloon. So I have to then do something else. So I substitute it. I cut up those peppers and I crunch on those.
Nice. Okay.
So,
Now, are you talking about 3 meals a day, 2 meals a day, 6 meals a day? What is there a certain thing, or do you just graze all day? What is that like, Phil?
well, I try to me, okay, here. My grandparents came from Italy. So, we love food and Italian food is like, tastes great, but it's not that great for you. I mean, look, my dad was 2 inches shorter than me, died at 66 from a heart attack because he was 2 inches shorter and 100 pounds heavier. Okay. And he was a former Marine and everything, he got as strong as an ox, but a four-cylinder engine can only power a Mack truck so long. So I don't want that to happen to me, and it will happen to me if I allow myself. So I try to look at eating as like almost a necessary nuisance, except when I'm, going to have my reward day. I don't call it a cheat. I call it a reward. So, my reward time, I'll kind of eat what I want. I'll have a little wine, a little whiskey, whatever. But most of the time I'm just watching it, and I'll eat like maybe 2 meals a day. And then I'll have like a shake. And then I will also drink a lot of water with lemon. I take lemons, I cut them up into eighths, I throw them in the freezer. And every morning I get up, I throw the frozen lemon wedge in my bottle, and I carry it around with me. And I use a metal bottle, and I refill it all the time. I try to get 3 of those. They're 20 ounces. I try to get at least 3 of those in a day, and then plus whatever else I'm going to have. I don't drink sodas. The only thing I'll drink with a fizz would be a seltzer.
Okay.
Most of the time I'm drinking water. I don't drink juices either. Except when I make a smoothie, but I'm making that right out of fresh fruit or vegetables. So, people look at me and say, "Oh gosh, keeping weight off must be easy for you." Like, no, I could be. I'm 192. I could be 202 in one weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right? It's just the way it is. And I know that. So I have to. Have to keep it in check. And the other thing is I move every day, because that's one thing that's killing our society right now. We don't practice a thing called NEAT. That's non-exercise thermogenesis. Look, look at our grandparents. We're relatively the same age, right? So I don't know if your grandparents had like manual jobs. Well, mine did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they were, my grandfather worked in the mills, the press mills. So he's picking rolls up, carrying stuff, moving stuff and they worked like 12, 14 hours was nothing, right? And they'd go to the boxing gym after. You know what? They kept in shape just by their jobs. What do? We sit on our butts all day, right? I mean, well, not me. I don't know if you noticed, but you see me moving around here?
Mm-hmm. You sit on a ball?
Yep. I'm on a physio ball.
Yeah.
And I got because they're a little short. So I have MREs in a container. I got all the food just in case S hits the fan. So it's the perfect size. So I got my ball on that. I sit on this, and when I teach class, I'm up, I'm walking the whole time. I'm moving. I don't sit down. We don't get enough NEAT exercise. Look at what we do, most people. They get up, sit in a car, go to work or on a bus, whatever, right? And then they sit at work and they come home, sit in front of the TV. Then you wonder why, only 20% of this nation is meeting the minimum amount of recommended exercise. Whereas I'll tell you, first thing I do, I get up in the morning, whether I want to or not, I could put a timer on my coffee, but I don't. I go and I make my coffee and I do my workout. I do my stretching routine, and I'll do some calisthenics, or some days I'll do dynamic tension, or other days I'll do like a yoga type workout. So I'll do my 15 to 30 minutes in the morning, first thing, while my coffee's brewing. So now, by the time I'm ready, my coffee's ready, and there you go. And I do that just as a habit, and I just do it. I don't think about it. It's about called consistency. So I work it every day, and I don't give myself an excuse.
Now, what do you teach at the college level?
Okay, I have my master's in sports and health sciences, so I teach both of those subjects. I teach anywhere from there's like 18 different courses that I teach. I teach sports management, sports fundamentals, issues and trends in sports, how to run a sports facility. I mean, the cool thing is that I've done all of these things, as well as obviously, being able to teach them too and reading the books. But I've actually done these for a living, which, gives the students a real different perspective as opposed to just reading a book or, listening to someone lecture who hasn't done it. Then I also teach how to become a personal trainer, and how to teach online, how to put all this marketing together, because I don't know if you know, but my BodyBell Method certification is actually a registered trademark. And if, let's say you're a trainer, a personal trainer, or a group trainer, you take my course, you can earn your continuing education credits through my courses.
Nice.
So, they're recognized by the National Commission on Certifying Agencies. So these are the things I teach the kids. I teach them how to actually, when they do their personal training course with me, it's principles of training. I actually have them create a 12-week program. They have to create the program itself. Then they have to make a flyer for it, a 3-fold brochure. And then after that, they have to do a whole presentation on it. So by the time they leave my class, they have a very marketable skill, and they have a program that they can sell to other people and actually make some money from their college education, as opposed to learning, East Lithuanian Sanskrit and having a bunch of debt.
Yeah.
Right. Some of these things.
it.
So I want to give them marketable skills. And the cool thing is, working at the community college, I get people who maybe don't have the money or the funds, or especially I live in like a kind of an urban area, so I pull from all these different backgrounds. Man, these kids, they're getting an opportunity to work with someone like me, and I mean, I'm not to sound like cocky about it. I'm pretty accomplished, and I love being able to share that with these kids, because they're the next group of people coming up that are going to do what we love to do. I want to make sure that they avoid the mistakes I made, and I teach them things like about ROI. I teach them about WIFM, the what's in it for me. I teach them about negotiations. They have to be win-win. So I just want to impart this knowledge onto them. And I've been teaching college for 7 years now.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, Dr. Gordon Botson is on. Good morning, Dr. Gordon. Dr. Gordon Botson. Got Dr. T.C. Fuller, doctorate in education, and of course,
Kettlebell. That guy made something funny. What did he say?
Did you see that? He said, since retirement, it's been more Taco Bell than kettlebell, eh, Reggie? Well, you're wrong. Yeah, Dr. Fuller's a retired FBI agent, so yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm sure he can relate as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that as we get older, man, it's probably more important now than ever. I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, I ran 20 to 40 miles a week as a Marine, didn't think anything about it.
Right.
And now, with 3 knee surgeries, I don't run anymore. But I should be doing something. So we hike. We're very fortunate here in East Tennessee with the mountains and everything. I've got a really great hiking range right behind us called Catoosa Ridge. And my wife and I go there, and I think it's probably better for us in the long term. Phil, what do you think?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, the thing is also, you can get a nice, good long-term fat burn when you're going that way. I mean, my wife and I go out hiking. We live in the mountains in Mawa, the Ramapo Mountain Range, and I'll slap my 20 pounds of weights on, and we'll go. So
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome. You know what's really funny? Last week, I pulled out of my driveway 2:30 in the afternoon. If you ever, I got it. I'll send it to you. I put them on. It's on my Facebook. I make the left out of the driveway. And there's this like 350, 400-pound bear jogging next to me.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I pull over because I want to get a picture of him, right? So I'm trying to get a picture, and I got him to stop. I rolled down the window. You can see in one of the pictures. You see my side view mirror, my 1500, and I go, hey Yogi, and he stops and looks up, and I snap the picture.
Jeez. Yeah, and you live in Jersey?
Yes. Yeah.
I see a lot of people don't. Let me speak for myself.
Yeah.
Before I started going up to Jersey probably once a year to do some training, I would have thought it was all like, Newark. And it's not. You get out and there's a beautiful country out there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Hey, you know what? I was hiking in the mountains on Friday. It was close to evening, and I was going up past. There's a couple different lakes, and I was hitting the second lake and go up to the next one. And a guy comes down and goes, hey, just to let you know, we just spotted a mountain lion up there. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll turn around. Those are, it's a whole ball game.
Yeah, it is, man. And I tell you, you got to be ready for that kind of stuff. I stumbled upon a mountain lion in Tennessee.
Did you?
Probably about 10 years ago. And at the time, Tennessee Wildlife said there hadn't been mountain lions in Tennessee since 1920. I called them and I said, hey, man, I just saw one. Yeah. But there hasn't been a confirmed sighting. If you want to come over here, we'll lend you some trail cams and you can see if you can catch it on camera. And I wish I had, because 6 months later, somebody caught one on camera, and now they've officially said they're back in the great state of Tennessee.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll tell you, because I got a place down in Florida too, and it's right next to the Panther Preserve. We have a 12-foot fence around it. They jump right over that. And somebody got one on their Ring camera. I mean, it was impressive looking. I mean, they can jump from a standstill. They can jump 25 feet.
All the more reason to, when I go back there, I'm packing every single time.
Dude, my 357 is in my waistband.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. So, Phil, how many books have you written?
Well, I have the Kettlebell Workout Library. That's it's only available in PDF and Kindle right now. And then I have Ferocious Fitness. I wrote Survival Strong, and then I retooled it to become a guide to street survival and self-defense, and re-released it. And then I have Exercise Snacks. So that's 4. And I'm working on a 5th right now. That's going to be the Books for Dummies. It's going to be called Managing Back Pain. And that won't be out until 2025.
Okay. 2025.
Yeah. So, I never thought I was going to be an author.
Yeah, you and me both. I wrote my book last year.
Yeah.
And again, most of I'm sure our English teachers would be rolling over in their graves, Phil. But yeah, as anybody that's written a book, and several people that will listen to this probably have, and it's a labor of love, man. It is. Yeah. And like you said, getting the proof back and going through it and thinking you caught everything. I was telling a friend, I said, I think I caught the thing. And he's like, oh, how cute. How cute. Yeah.
You have to have somebody else really proofread it for you, because the thing is, when you're reading something, especially when you wrote it, you're going to fill in what you mean to say.
Exactly.
Because that's just the way it is what we do. So you really need somebody else to look at it, and you need real professionals to check this out. And so it always works out better when you have another set of eyes on it, and sometimes more than one set of eyes in addition to that.
We never talked about sleep, Phil, and this is something that I don't know how you feel about it, but one of those things, because most of our audience are middle-aged men, and I have found that the older I get, the more sleep and recovery are important. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. And the thing is, that's one thing as Americans that we don't get enough of. We don't get enough of the proper sleep. I'll tell you, I just take one little 5 milligram melatonin. I've gone without it, but it just works a little better, even if it's mostly, the placebo effect at this point. And then I'll practice some meditation for relaxation if I have to. But I honestly, I try to get if I get 7 hours, I'm good.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, even if I go to bed like super early, let's say I go to bed 9:30, I'll wake up at like 4. So my alarm is set for 6 o'clock, but I'm always up at 5:30, and I just get going. So
you got that rhythm going now.
Yeah. It's like, so and the things that, I do like to get into the bed, before 10:30, sometimes you don't always have that, but that luxury, but I try to stay pretty consistent with them. I'm really trying to stick with at least 7 hours of sleep. You know what else? Do you snore? You probably snore, right?
I don't know. Only if we travel.
You don't know because you're sleeping?
Well, I've got a wife of 38 years, so she'll tell me. But you know what's weird, Phil? The snoring only occurs like when we're traveling. If I'm in a strange bed, different pillow, something about that.
Well, I had my nose broken 4 times, fixed twice. So, I got these extra holes in it so it drains better. So I snore. And then, I found this little mouthpiece thing that you put it in and it kind of pushes your lower jaw just a little bit forward. I'll tell you what, I don't snore with that thing in anymore.
I've heard of those. Yeah.
Yeah, it works. It works.
Yeah.
It works on me.
It probably would take some time to get used to, I would imagine.
Yeah, it does. Because at first, you spit it out, and you got to make sure you clean it too.
Yeah, every
day. Yeah, because you put it in your mouth for X amount of hours, and half the time, I'll wake up, it'll be out of my mouth. But at least it gets. I'll say it's made my sleep better though too, because when you snore, sometimes you don't go into that deep REM sleep.
That's right.
That's right. It's made me feel more refreshed, and I definitely recommend it.
Okay, I'll have to check out. What's the name of it? Do you have a name?
I don't even know. I forget. I found it on TikTok.
Okay. Well, if you remember, Phil, send it to me, and I'll put it in the show notes as well.
I'll try to find it. I should be able to get that somewhere. But
so, Phil, we're coming up on an hour, man. If somebody wanted to train with you, pick up your stuff, brother, what would they need to do? Where do they need to go?
Okay. You can find everything that I do at philross.com. Even though I do have other sites, I have the bodybellmethod.com as well. And I have I have my training funnels listed there under virtual training too, because I do have the kettlebell, secrets of kettlebell training online with manuals and workouts and everything. That's available. I'm doing a seminar on June 2nd, BodyBell Method certification seminar in Mahwah. That's also listed on my BodyBell Method site in the events. It's also on my Facebook. I have, Master Phil on Master Phil Industries is my main Facebook page. Master Phil Ross on Instagram. I'm on Master Phil Mafa because I own that site, Make America Fit Again. That's on TikTok, and I think I'm Kettlebell King on Twitter, and then I'm kind of all of it. If you just
all
Google
over the place, Phil.
Yeah, I'm like horse manure back in the day. Used to be all over. I got a lot of stuff out there. I'm constantly cranking, just constantly put it out there. Look, here's my thing, Rich. I've been very fortunate, and I've made a good life doing what I'm doing. And I've been able to help so many people. I just want to help other people live better longer through strength, self-reliance, and self-defense. And, if I can do that, then, my legacy is sealed and my goal is accomplished, because there's nothing like, when you train somebody and they get it, how does that make you feel?
Right.
Right.
No, 100%. Yeah. But then just to speak to that, like in the Marine Corps, I was a recruiter for a while, and what we sell as far as like selling somebody to come in the Marine Corps is the intangible: self-direction, self-direction, self-discipline, self-reliance. Some of the things you talked about: honor, courage, commitment, poise, self-confidence, and these are the things that are sorely lacking. Now,
Yes.
I also would submit that, and I talk about this in some of the training we do, like, for confidence on demand, do combatives. If you want to feel confident and be competent around others, especially men,
Yes.
then do combatives, man.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
because the mats don't lie, right, brother?
Nope, nope. It's funny. I was training one of my guys this morning, getting ready for the police academy, and he's like, "Wow, oh my gosh, yeah." I'm like, "Yeah." I go, "Listen, you're going to be able to do this stuff too. Just remember how much more confidence you're going to have." And
Mhm.
listen, when you're in a room, right? You walk into a room, guys know the alphas. You sniff
Mhm.
each other out, and we also know the betas. And when it comes down to it, man, we're men, and
Yeah.
you got to be able to throw down. I don't care what you have to have the potential for danger.
Yeah. Yeah, I
If you
think
can't,
Dr. Jordan Peterson talks
yeah,
about that,
yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
he's absolutely spot on, man.
yeah,
I love that.
100%, 100%. You know what? The thing is that everybody's afraid to talk about that. I'm not. If you ever see any of my posts, you ever see what I do, I will say anything, anytime. Like here, look. I hope we're not running out of time, but
No,
okay, here. Okay, you want to talk about the whole transgender situation?
sure.
I talk to my college students about it, and I'll tell you this: I've led this class for 8 or 9 semesters. Okay, transgender, and I ask them, hey, do you believe that biological men should compete with biological women? And they're all like, no. No one says yes. So you wonder, well, who's doing this? Well, who's it for? They're not doing it for the students. They're doing it for their own agenda. And if you look at it on a biological level, right? So human beings have about 20,000 genes that make us human, right?
Mhm.
And of those, the functionality of 6,500 of them differ between men and women. So on a cellular level, we are 1/3 different. How are you
Mhm.
going to be a boy in the morning and a girl in the afternoon? It doesn't work that way. It's not happening. There's no such thing as gender fluidity. There's none of that. This is all just a construct. And you know what?
Mhm.
And the thing is, they put this stuff into the minds of children. You know why? Because children are malleable. Okay.
Yeah.
Most of their thought occurs in the amygdala, which is driven by emotion only. The true thought, higher level thought, doesn't occur in the prefrontal cortex until much later in life, sometimes not until the mid-20s. So they are sitting there and just destroying the minds of these kids and manipulating them because they can. And I'll tell you that's one thing that I am 1,000% against, and I am very outspoken with it. And I welcome anyone to challenge me on anything I've said.
No, there's no question about it. I mean, it makes me wonder what is the agenda, what's the end state that this certain group, maybe let's call it the left or leftists, whatever it is, I don't know, but well, I wonder what end state they're driving to. And then not that you or I know what it is, but we can see the fruits of it every single day.
Yes. Yeah. The only thing, I mean, look, again, it's all supposition, but the only
Mhm.
thing I can think is they just want to create a ruling class and, you know, peasants or serfs,
Mhm.
they want to separate that. And they're selling this on, oh, we're all going to be equal, all going to be, that never happens because someone will always be in charge. And they're selling to these people saying that, hey, you know what? Oh, everything's going to be even. We're going to redistribute wealth and blah, 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 blah. They shouldn't get this. They shouldn't get that. Everyone should have it. Well, you know what? That just breeds pure apathy if you're not being if you're not rewarded for your successes. And and that goes against, look, as men, as males, we are conditioned, we are wired to achieve.
Mhm.
We're wired to achieve. We're wired to be out there in the front. We're wired to sacrifice. We're wired to fight. And they want to take that away so they can control us. Look, why do you think that they're pushing the marijuana and the SSRIs? You want to talk about SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, right?
Mhm.
You know what? If you look at every single mass shooter from Columbine forward, was either on them or just came off them.
Yeah.
How come nobody talks about that?
Well, because the drug companies
Because
have
the
the
drug
biggest,
companies
most
own them.
powerful lobby in America. Yeah.
Exactly. And but if you look at what happened with the Purdue and the opioid crisis. Okay?
Mhm.
I'll tell you, I didn't like that stuff from the beginning. But you know what? They sold this bad bill. They sequestered all of the data that showed that it was addictive. And these SSRIs, they produce not only suicidal tendencies, ideology, but homicidal as well.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what happens, but they're never going to admit it. But this is going on. And you know what? Finally, studies come out. One came out from Australia that said that exercise is 1.5 times more effective than drugs and therapy combined. And I will go out on another limb and say that most of these therapists don't know what they're doing, and they're terrible at their jobs. That's why they go and they tell people that, oh yeah, being gender fluid's okay. You know, you want to be a flamingo, it's okay. You want to have a litter box in your middle school so you can pee in it. That's fine. You can be a cat. You know, whatever. This stuff is pure insanity. And, you know, they're terrible at their jobs, and that's why they're trying to make it acceptable. They're trying to make lunacy acceptable.
Yeah, and all they're doing is tearing apart, you know, the greatest nation on the face
greatest
of the earth.
nation. The greatest nation on this earth. And you know, we have to. This is my goal. Look, I'm going to be fine. I think you're going to be fine. They're not going to touch me. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about my future grandchildren. I'm worried about our nation as a whole. This is why I say what I say. But you know what? Too many people are afraid to speak up. You know, too many people are just afraid. They're afraid, oh gosh, I don't want to upset the apple cart, or I make a lot of money. You know, actually something I said wound up getting pulled down because I ripped into BlackRock and Vanguard for buying off, buying silence from people in corporate America. I don't am I wrong?
No.
With their ESG index. I mean, come on.
Yeah. No, and that's why, you know, we do this show. I mean, I'm retired Marine. I have other things going on that I don't need to do this podcast.
Right.
I do appreciate our sponsors that make it possible for me to get to spend time to talking to amazing people like you, Phil. But I want to leave a legacy. I want to say, you know, Grandpa, what did you do when you saw this lunacy coming? I'm like, you know what?
Yes.
I had Phil Ross on my show, and we tried to teach and talk truth to power as much as we could in our own way. Because I agree with you. It's not about me and you, brother. I'll be shuffling off here in 20 or 30 years.
Right.
Yeah. What's going to happen to like you said, I got a grandchild on the way, right?
Hey, God bless.
I think about that every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, they try to take our religion from us. They try to take our traditional values from us. Mm-hmm. And you know, we just can't allow that. And one thing, and you do say something I think is very poignant and must be emphasized. You know, you said, what are you going to say to your grandchildren when you saw it coming? And I want to know what these other people are going to say. Listen, you say, oh God, I got angry. I didn't like it. Well, what'd you do about it? I'll tell you what I'm doing about it. I'm actually I'm an elected official in the county. Okay. Good. I'm fighting. I'm at these rallies. I'm backing the right people. I'm backing the people's agenda, and I've been called a lot of things, and you know what? And none of it ever stuck. I go, really? Yeah. You can call me this, call me that, call me that thing. Then if you know anything about me, you say, gosh, you guys nothing like that. Yeah, no kidding. Why? Because you have nothing else. You can't face me on the facts.
Yeah. Here's the thing, you know, like with the Drag Time Story Hour, and I know we're a self-defense podcast, and you're a fitness influencer and combatives guy. But for just a second, let's think about this. If you want to go and have Drag Time Story Hour to another group of adults that want to listen to you, I have no problem with that.
No problem.
But why do you want to do it in front of the freaking children?
Just like I said before.
It's neuroplasticity, man. These brains are still developing.
Exactly. They're malleable.
Man.
Yep. And this is what they're trying to do. I mean, like, you know, in the state of New Jersey, if you ever look at my YouTube channel, I rip Phil Murphy with this too. He's the governor, state of New Jersey, that if you're a teacher or administrator and you see something like going on where the child has some sexual preference or some type of identity crisis, you can't tell the parents. You will get fired.
That's insane.
That's insane. Shouldn't the parents be the ones that know about it?
Right.
Right? I mean, insane.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, I mean, we're seeing a bifurcation in this country, a balkanization where, you know, we've got people coming in from the street that I live on here. I live on Cumberland County up on the plateau. And this one country road I live on, Potato Farm Road, these people are here from Boston. They're from South Africa. Everybody on my road are not Tennesseans like we are. They're from California, Illinois, New Jersey, Michigan. and they're coming down here to what's people are calling free states.
Right.
But I like that you're fighting from within your state. And I think more people should do that instead of just running.
Listen, I got a place in Florida. I could leave tomorrow, but I'm not I'm not letting these guys push me out. I'm going into their face. I'm at these rallies. I actually open up and speak for some of the other politicians. I've done that several times. You know, I'm out there, man. And I say, listen, we got to punch back. And you know what? We got to punch first.
Yeah.
You know, when someone goes and says, "Oh, you're against transgender," I go, "Well, I guess then you're just for the mutilation of children. You want to sexualize and mutilate children? Is that what you're for? Because that's what you're doing."
Well, and to be clear, man, I don't care what consenting adult does with another. I don't give a shit.
Care less.
I could care less. Once you're of the age of majority, 18 and over in most states, hey, man, do your thing.
Yeah.
High five. Go live your life. Be happy. Be productive. Pay your taxes. But for children, man, let's let them be kids, man.
Exactly. You know, the things I have people who are same marriage, same. I love them dearly. Love them dearly. You're very good friends of mine. I don't care. But you know what? And by the same token, I don't want to talk about heterosexual sex with these kids either. I don't want to bring in the Kumasatra into kindergarten. Okay? Right. It's insane. You know what? Don't sexualize kids. Leave them on the kids for only a short amount of their lives. Let them be kids. Oh, the other thing is I called Murphy out, and you know how they separate the child from the parent? That's step number one, how a groomer, how a pedophile grooms a child. Right. Sexual abuse. Separate the parent from the child. And that's what our governor is advocating. Yeah.
It's sick. What do you think, Phil? And this is something I ask most guests, you know, what can folks do? Because I think you and I would agree that we're living in some tumultuous times. I think that the next 6 months to a year and a half, 2 years are probably going to be some of the most troubling we've had in 150 years. What can the average American do to make themselves stronger, fitter, faster, harder to kill? Take it wherever you want, Phil.
Well, hey, you know what? I'll tell you, this is one of the reasons that I have my my Survival Strong training, my book, and the kettlebell training out there. This is how you're going to get in shape. I mean, look, and the other thing is I would learn how to use a firearm. I'd learn how to use a knife, learn how to use a stick, learn how to throw a punch, learn how to survive on the ground. You know, these are all the different things that you can do. They're going to make you mentally stronger. They're going to make you physically stronger. They're going to make you emotionally stronger, and they're going to make you more resilient. You know, look, if you don't like my stuff, that's fine. Not everybody likes me. I know it's hard to believe, but not everyone does. You know, you know, you can go check out philross.com, but now, you know, find somebody near you, find somebody you like, find some system that you're going to like. The other thing is vote for Trump. The other thing is that, you know what, look and really look at the voting record of people that you have there. If you got a rhino, get rid of them. Okay. You know, and you got to look at this, you know, everyone says, oh gosh, get rid of them, but I like my guy. Well, you know, if your guy isn't doing it, he's rolling over, you got to get rid of him or her or whoever it is. You got to get somebody in there that's going to represent you, represent the family values, represent what this country once was and should be again. And we are there, and we have to do it now. You know what? You know, speak up at work, speak up at the water cooler, speak up. Don't be afraid, because if enough people say, look, I work at a college. How many people do you think are like me there?
Not many. I'll say none, probably.
And you know, but you know what? I say what I want, when I want, and I'm not looking to insult or hurt anyone. That's not the point. But you know what? I'm going to speak the truth. I have not said one thing that's not verifiable and true. Not one thing. And if you challenge me, you show me something different, I'll say, okay, show me. Here's one thing too. When you're discussing these types of things, when you're discussing issues, and here's something that we don't do. Okay. You know, how many sides to a coin, Rich? 2 10. Nope. It's 3 sides. 3 sides. Heads, tails, and the edge. Until you viewed both sides, you can't see the edge. That's where the intelligence resides. So people have to look. I want to hear the other side. I do. I want to have a conversation, and I don't just want to listen to them. I don't want to just hear them. I want to listen to them. I want to absorb what they're saying. Maybe there's some truth. Maybe it can change my perspective, or maybe I can have a new perspective on what I think. But whatever the case may be, you have to look at both sides of the issue to discover the intelligence on the edge. And if I can leave people with that, I think that would be helpful.
No, I dig it, Phil. And we had on Dr. Will Moravitz recently written a couple of books, and he's a professor. I forget which college, but the college, tried to force him out because of some conservative things that he had said, and he took him to court, sued him, and won hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Because I think that people like that used to be like, okay, well, I guess they canceled me. I'm going to slink on out of here.
Yeah.
No. Let's stand up to this. These leftist bullies and take their ass to court. And you know what? Yep. Reasonableness often wins.
Yes, it does.
Well, Phil, thank you so much for being on today, guys. Remember, I've got links to every way you can follow Phil Ross today, Master Ross. It is in the show notes today. Phil, thank you for coming on the show, brother.
Rich, it was a true pleasure. Strength and honor, brother.
Mine, strength and honor, brother. Be safe out there, man. And let's do it again sometime.
All right, brother. Yeah, I'm gonna send you some links, some other stuff too. Okay.
Guys and gals out there, Warrior Nation, remember the fight is coming. Be ready.